What's up, y'all? It's your boy John, aka Dark Wolf 92, and as you can see, we are here. Well, I'm here to not only just pay my respects to a great artist and a man of imagination, but just to go over how I first discovered Akira Toriyama's work. As we all know, he passed. He was 68 years old, and they're saying that he passed from what's known as acute subdural hematoma, which basically is blood clotting between the brain and the skull. I mean, this one caught a lot of us off guard. I mean, so far 2024 has shown no mercy, but this one, it hits because this was my childhood. And it was my childhood before it became the series Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z became popular statewide. Pretty much I had kept up with it because I was a comic junkie back in the day, and I basically read gaming magazines because we didn't have the internet back in late 80s and early 90s. So pretty much if we wanted to know about what was going on with the latest games around the world, you'd have to buy things like Electronic Gaming Monthly. Okay, and there was another one. I'm trying to remember it. No, that was the store. There were like 2 or 3 gaming magazines. Electronic Gaming Monthly was the most well known though. EGM, because that one I actually got delivered to me monthly. And it always also talked about games in Japan. And that was when I first heard about Dragon Ball Z. It was a game on the Super NES. And I saw the graphics and I was like, this looks pretty cool, but it looks weird. And then I started looking into it more, visited a few gaming stores that specialized in anime here in the Houston area, and learned more about the series, about Dragon Ball. So I went to the comic store. I always got my comics, and started having like issues or mangas of Dragon Ball Z added to it. And the crazy thing is, I could not read none of it. I had to stop because when I got it, it was in Japanese. I was like, I figured they would have it in English, but nope, it was in Japanese. And plus, if you're familiar with Japanese mangas, they don't read like traditional comics here in the U.S. They kind of read backwards. So I was just thrown all off. But I mean, I loved the artwork, and that's when I started getting into it and wanted to learn more. And it finally happened. I was able to start watching the anime on the international channel. It was like 11:30 at night on a Sunday when it happened, but I was able to watch it. And soon it happened where I got up one morning. It was real early on a Saturday morning, and I just so happened to turn the TV on, and I remembered, which he's famous for this also. His art style and artwork was used for Dragon Quest. Okay, he created Dragon Quest, Dr. Slump, and that used to play early in the mornings here in the U.S. Dragon Quest, the animated series. So I remembered, oh, they started playing that, and so I tried to catch it. And I actually caught it that morning. It was like 6 in the morning on channel 39. And I was sitting there watching it, and I loved it. I did. But then as I was about to change channels, to my surprise, Dragon Ball Z. I was like, whoa. I was like, what? And anybody who's familiar, when Dragon Ball first aired here in the U.S. and it was dubbed, we're all familiar with the theme song, Rock the Dragon. So I didn't care. I was losing my mind. I was just stoked. Okay. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I was all into it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they finally brought this here. And then Sunday mornings on channel 20, they had Dragon Ball. And I was like, oh my God. So it was like it was finally happening. I was already into anime, okay, where I had collections for Fist of the North Star, the Guyver, Robotech, Macross, Ranma One Half. I was already heavy into anime, but then Dragon Ball, it was like the ultimate for me because I had been dying to see that show, and it finally aired here in the U.S. and I was like, oh my god, yes! And I fell in love with it. And then I found a page on the internet when pretty much when the web started becoming more popular. There was a young man, and I can't remember his name. I don't think the page is still around anymore. But he created a page called Dragon Ball Z Uncensored. And dude, I was shocked about how brutal this show was. Okay, granted, I read some of the mangas, but I stopped because I couldn't read them. They were in Japanese. But the show, I was just like, oh my gosh. And so then I wanted to see the uncut versions. So finally, I was able to track down some video. Yes, it was VHS back then. DVD hadn't started yet. VHS, and I found some VHS tapes that I bought. They were the movies. Okay, it was The Tree of Death, Dead Zone, and also what was it? What was it? What was it? The World's Strongest. And man, I cherished those VHSs. I kept them under lock and key. I did not let nobody touch them. And so, pretty much, soon the Dragon Ball series became, as we all know, worldwide. It aired on the Cartoon Network, first under Adult Swim, and then Toonami. And Toonami, what was it? Yeah, Toonami pushed it first. I'm sorry, I take that back. Toonami pushed it first. And of course it was all edited. Okay. But then after I forgot how long it was on hiatus. We finally, cuz it ended when Goku got to Namek during the Frieza saga. And then it was like we didn't hear anything for the longest. And then finally it picked back up again, which Ocean Dub had did the original voice work for the series. But then we got a totally new voice cast. I mean, Sean Schemmel is Goku and Christopher Savat as Vegeta, and I'm just like, man, I probably said his name all wrong. I don't care, because I'll be honest, I'd rather watch the Japanese voices, hear the Japanese voices with the subs any day. But I'm just going on a rant now, talking about how, but pretty much Akira Toriyama, his art style, not only to me was kind of like the precedence for Japanese anime. It was, like I said, he was like the Stan Lee of Japanese anime for me. When the game Chrono Trigger came out, as we all know, anybody who played that game growing up, that artwork, his artwork was utilized, his style art was utilized for that game. Okay, granted, and then when it came out on the PS1, the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, was it the original PlayStation? Yeah, they did cinematics, and his art style was used, his artwork was used for that. And I mean, he really had his foothold in there. But then, as we all now know, Dragon Ball is renowned worldwide. I mean, hell, they had his Goku's balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. I'm like, that's when you have a balloon in that parade. That says something. That means you done got somewhere. But pretty much it is now well known. I had no knowledge that, because yes, anime community huge in Japan, huge here in the West as well now, but I didn't know that it was so big in the Latin community. Not until I started watching Super, and I had a coworker of mine who I was talking to about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I love Dragon Ball. I mean, what are you talking about?" I was like, "What you know about it?" And then after seeing Super, where they were having these huge crowds watching it, like an event, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then a buddy of mine sent me something yesterday, talking about how strong of an effect his art and his show Dragon Ball had on people. It was a Twitter notification stating that the cartels called for a ceasefire for the day in honor of Akira Toriyama. And that to me says a lot. Where this man who was from a totally different country could have that powerful an effect. And it's had a huge effect on a lot of people because you have people who utilize his style of artwork to do their own style of artwork. Hell, I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a game. The game it's still out. It came back out. It's a game called City of Heroes. My very first character I created, his name was Dark Wolf, and I based his design off of Goku. I mean, he had the spiky hair. He had the I gave him a muscle top, but he had his hands wrapped like a martial artist. He had the red sash, the pants. I mean, he looked like he would fit in on an episode of Dragon Ball Z, and he does. And you all can look at you probably more likely just look at my avatar, and you'll see, yeah, his design is based off of like Akira Toriyama's work. He had his characters, his work. It inspired so many people. I don't even know if he knew when he first started doing Dragon Ball how huge it would blow up. I mean, I'm just gonna say he was taken from us way too soon because he still had so much to offer us. But what we do now is we just thank him. We just need to thank him for all that he provided for us and how he entertained us through the years. It's crazy where someone that you've never met in your entire life could have such an amazing effect on your spirit and what makes you who you are. Because the one thing about Dragon Ball, it was an action martial arts cartoon, but it talked about all the pivotal things in life. Just your friends, how to cherish your friends, cherish your family, never give up on your dreams, keep pushing forward. Yeah, a lot of us, we sit there when we were growing up and we watched the show and all we saw were them fighting and beating the crap out of each other and shooting beams across the screen and all. But then again, as you get older, you realize what these stories talked about. They talked about just how to get through life, basically. And pretty much as you see, Goku, he always pushing himself to be stronger. Always pushing to be better. Never wanting to slow down. He enjoyed fighting, but he always wanted to improve his body. Okay. And then you have Vegeta, who basically was arrogant but always did what he could to keep up, if not exceed, Goku. He never gave up. I mean, he suffered so much just to turn Super Saiyan. And if we all remember that, I mean, everything he went through when he finally just snapped and became Super Saiyan, I actually felt for Vegeta because, I mean, he struggled and tormented to get that, to achieve that, and he finally did. To me, I look at that, and you look at that, and you're like, wow, that was a prize earned. And that's how it is with life. When you push yourself to do better in life, okay, when you finally get that prize, it's well worth it. But the thing is that, I mean, and I've been thinking about that also, am I really, in my current work life, am I really pushing for the right prize? And we had a coworker who passed away Ooh, it's just crazy that she passed away in the office, and it kind of hit us because some of us have been talking like, is this what we want to do for the rest of our lives? Is this our true goal? And I sit back and look at these characters that Toriyama created and everything they go through, everything they push. I mean, yeah, it's entertainment, but there's also a story behind it. It's also words of encouragement. And I think that's what he wanted to do also, not just entertain us with amazing characters, but he wanted us to know with these characters that there's more to life that you can than just droning a 9 to 5. Get out there and push yourself, and you'll be surprised what you can do. I'm just here I am going off again, but yeah, great man. And if they were real, I would definitely use them to bring him back healthy. But as for now, good sir, you rest in paradise. Alright, y'all. And as for you all, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming by and checking out the vid. And as I said, for everybody out there, take care of yourself. Don't stress over what's not going to bring you true happiness. Get out there and find your joy and your peace. Just like you did. And all it was with a pencil. Until in the next video, y'all. Y'all take care. Stay blessed.